Welcome, welcome. Welcome to Out Loud. I am your host, Councilman Dupre Kelly. And tonight's episode is relevant.
Let me hear ya. Let me hear ya. Everybody, politics, everybody, community, everybody, economic, everybody, public safety. Let me hear ya out loud. 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 Out loud. Politics out loud. Community out loud. Economics out loud. Public safety out loud. Out loud. Out loud. Out loud. Out loud. Let me hear ya out loud.
From North New Jersey, with your host, Dupre Kelly.
Out loud.
As we delve into the topic of public safety, a concern that is close to home for many of us. The safety of our neighborhoods and our families is paramount. And it's important that we work together to ensure that our city remains safe, where we can live, where we can work, and where we can play. When you think of anything public, it means pertaining to the people as a whole. So that would also mean that when adding safety to it, it means protecting the conditions of the people as a whole. You see, when I was younger, it wasn't just the police who were involved in the public safety, but it was also the community. You had mothers who would make sure that children were in the house or at least in sight by the time the street lights came on. And Neighborhood Watch will report anything that looks suspicious. But with that no snitching rule put into place, put into place mostly by the criminals, the crimes didn't stop. The next segment is What's Hot on the Block? And this is where we talk to Ms. Edna Rashid and Mr. Marvin Vallette to tell you what's going on and what's hot in the West Ward.
Tick-tock, this is how we rock. Throw your hands in the air and do it for your rock.
Miss Edna,
Hi, Councilman
how
Kelly.
you doing?
I'm doing wonderfully well.
Mr. Marvin,
Hey, what's going on?
hey man, what's hot on the block, man?
Well, right now what's hot on the block in the city of North, 3 out of the 10 safest city is named in the West Ward.
Wow, that's right, that's right. 3 out of the, so which areas are those, man?
So currently we have Westside Park, we have 18th Avenue, and I believe the other area is North 6th Street and Park Avenue
Oh, wow. So those are the 3 safest areas in the West Ward.
in the West Ward.
Man, a lot of times we hear about the negativity that's happening in our ward, in our city. So it feels good to hear something positive.
Definitely.
Miss Edna,
How you doing?
what's going on? I
What's
like your
going
jacket.
on? Thank you very
You fly.
much.
You on your fly thing. I hear it.
Trying to keep it hot.
Nice.
All
We're
right.
getting ready for the West Ward Business Summit, and that's going to be exciting. That's scheduled for September, and it's the amazing thing about it is that it's during the Minority Enterprise Development Week,
Nice.
and it's going to be the first one. And Councilman Kelly, of course, you're the one who's sponsoring it. Yeah, and the beauty of it is not just talking about businesses, it's highlighting the power of capital.
That's
and,
right. And financial
strengthen
literacy.
equity. Yes, financial
literacy.
And strengthen equity. So that's what's hot on the block.
Thank you, Miss Edna. Thank you, Mr. Marvin. That was Hot on the Block. And now we have a guest for today. Newark's own, Newark, New Jersey's very own Public Safety Director, Mr. Fritz Frage. Please make some noise for our guest. Director.
Thank you.
Man, we are here at Donald Payne Technical High School, a beautiful television studio. And as you see, the students are running the show.
It's definitely impressive sitting here today, seeing all the students running the show, a program like this, the amount it takes to get it done. I appreciate being here and seeing the future movie stars, producers.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, great job to all the youth.
But Director, I mean, I'm not going to take up a lot of your time. I know in a city like Newark, New Jersey, you're a very busy gentleman, and me being councilman, I know how busy you are. With that being said, just for a little history, where are you from? Like, what's some of your background? Where did you come from when it comes to being the public safety director here in Newark, New Jersey?
Well, originally I started off, as you know, I was born in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, but I came here as a youth. I grew up in Linden, New Jersey, and then moved to Woodbridge. I also joined the Marine Corps, and I was assigned as military police in Okinawa, Japan. And I was out there as a sentry, assigned to them, cross-trained. And I came back home, went to Seton Hall, got my degree, and I eventually became a state trooper. I served the state police 24 and a half years. I was a lieutenant colonel, which was the branch commander of all investigations for the state of New Jersey. And as I retired last year in July, I assumed the position as public safety director in September of last year.
You know, coming up in Newark, New Jersey, driving along the turnpike, driving along the parkway, you know, when we see those state trooper cars, those cars always felt like they meant business. You know, and you know what? It's just something that when you say military, right? I feel like I've heard some of our residents go, ooh, ah, right, for the Marines. But when you talk about being with the troopers, and like I said, riding on the turnpike in New Jersey, and the Parkway, when you see those troopers come up to your car, they almost look like soldiers, man. They look like their hats are a certain way, their shirts. You know, it's no sloppiness to you guys.
That's meticulous on how the appearance, how you look. Your appearance says everything about you. There's no second chance for a first impression of somebody. So when you show up, if you look professional, if you look clean, if you're talking in a proper manner and talking to people with respect, they're gonna be a little more conservative in conversation with you. Right. Or if you look sloppy, it also protects you. If you look sloppy, people probably contest you. If you look sharp and clean cut, it serves as a deterrent. It keeps you safe because you're out there by yourself on the highway. So that is a deterrent in itself.
You know what, too, Director? There was a company, a group of police officers that came here a couple of weeks ago with a program called Switch, yes, where myself, Redman, DJ Envy, and a couple other people, we switched roles from being civilians to being police officers in 4 situations. It was a stolen car situation, a car accident. We didn't know it was a stolen car. It was a car accident situation. There was getting a drug overdose off of the bus. There was checking a warehouse where some squatters were in there smoking marijuana. There was a stop of two passengers, females, in a vehicle. And when I have to say, I have a different respect for police officers and what you guys do. It is intense. I had to worry about my partner. I had to worry about the people that were in the car. I had to worry about where their hands were. I had to see if anybody else was in the car. I had to worry about the civilians that were around just in case something went down. I had to think about, do I shoot this person that just shot at me? And oh man, it was so many things that I had to worry about. So I just wanted to say, me as a civilian, I have a different perspective, a different point of view because I actually went through those real situations that some police officers went through. And man, respect to all that you guys do out there and stay safe out there. But with that being said, I want to talk about the West Ward, right? How does the West Ward help with public safety?
The best way to help is participating in the community meetings that we have in the West Ward, so we can at least understand and learn what the concerns are and what we need to do to make the community safer and better. If you show up to these meetings, I've shown up to all the meetings with all the...
I have to say, you come.
I've come to the meetings
and
answer questions directly. And the communication between the community and the police is important to help us go forward and do our jobs better. If we don't know, we can't improve. So whether it's criticism or praise, please show up to the meetings, talk to those precinct commanders of your ward. You have the 6th precinct that handles your ward.
Yes.
You reach out to him.
Shout out to Captain Henderson out there now.
He just came from the 5th.
That's right.
One of the busiest wards, so he's well prepared to handle any circumstance that can happen. And when you show up to these events, voice yourself. What's your opinion? Talk to us. All the patrolmen are going to be out there this entire summer. We've got another 38 police officers going on foot patrol throughout all the wards in the city, and their job is to communicate, outreach, and have conversations with the community. And it helps keep everybody safe.
So, I was just with a friend of mine, one of our frat brothers, who was actually my line brother, Dr. Elroy Estes from Chicago. And Chicago has a lot of problems, right, when it comes to crime. And we were just chatting. We visit each other. My line brothers, we get together once in a while. So this was over the Memorial Day holiday. And he was on the phone, and I was ear hustling while he was on the phone, and he was saying, wow, 28 was just shot. 28 people Friday. And then there was another 9 Saturday. I think through the weekend, there were about maybe 11 people, or 9 people that died, but there were like almost 30-something shootings. And I was just kind of relating that to our city. Anytime one person is shot or killed, that's too much. It's too much. But when I hear people in Newark say, our percentage is not dropping down and we're not low and it's too, when I heard that, it was just kind of confirmation for me, because if that would have happened in Newark, New Jersey with 28 people getting shot, our city would be in an uproar from everything, from the politicians to the residents to the police. What does it mean to you, or can you describe to the people when we say that our percentage has dropped down? How far has it dropped down? What does that mean? Obama was just here giving us money. Can you talk about all of that?
Well, I mean, it's an unfortunate situation in Chicago, but here in Newark, we have 2 programs, which I think is the reason why our system works a little different. Our ecosystem is based on the policing and patrols, and then we also have the Office of Violence Prevention that was created by Mayor Ross J. Baraka to incorporate and assist us. Last year, we had the lowest number of homicides in 60 years in the city of Newark.
The lowest.
The lowest number, under 60 homicides last year, or correction, 50 homicides last year. And our ecosystem is a little different where when I first became a police officer, something happened, whether it was domestic violence situation with a family or whether it was a robbery or something to that effect, and there were children involved, I would show up to the scene, and I had to be the police officer, I had to be the social worker, I had to be the guidance counselor, all of that at the same time, keep myself safe, make sure nothing happens in the situation. In our ecosystem we have in Newark, we have the Office of Violence Prevention. When we do get a call, any traumatic event at all, we call them and they assist with all of the civilian entities of that portion. Whether you need social workers, you need to get right to the hospital, whatever you need, we support them to outreach to those communities. And then after the violent act or whatever the situation was, whether it's domestic violence, they will assist you in getting resources for the family. Because when somebody dies, there's also psychological consequences that those people need. Assistance, they need support, and those resources are out there to outreach. Because it's one thing just to show up there and solve the crime, and like we have a high solved crime rate. It's another thing after the fact to ensure that some of these youth that are affected by violence don't revert back to violence. Right. Resources to get them out of that, give them outlets to go to prevent them from falling back to the same circle of violence that was happening to one of their family members. So that factor in our ecosystem here is a little different, which embraces the community to help the community safe and a response after the incident has occurred. Gotcha. So every juvenile that we interact with gets forwarded to OVP, and they outreach to them. Hey, we have summer programs. We have this you can go to. We try and get them to do other things a little more creative, a little more productive than hanging out with them.
I mean, I can't make this up. Right before we start filming the show today, just a little while ago, Director Yuri just called me about something in the West Ward. So they are always on it. I thank them so much. When we talk about public safety is not just the police, right?
No, public safety is the entire entity of the city. So it's police, fire, and the Office of Emergency Management. The reality is, whatever happens in the city, whether it's DPW coming out to the streets, code enforcement going to do inspections, they're going to call the police to assist. A fair that happens, a festival down Neck, a festival in any ward in the city, you have to call the police to assist. And in those cases, we have the fire assist also with closing roads and things of that nature. So it encompasses the whole public safety department to do the job, and the relationship with all of the directors in the city, including the councilmen. Because if it wasn't for the councilmen like yourself and Councilman Roundtree and all the other councilmen on board, we wouldn't get the legislation needed,
That's
or
right.
support needed to get our jobs done. So I can say since I've been here, there's not one thing I've asked the council for that I haven't received to help me do my job better.
Right. And that's what we do, man. You know, we want to assist our city to become, you know, better. And as I usually say, is better our best. When it comes to community policing, what does that mean to you? I mean, that's not telling the community, go arrest people themselves, go pick up a gun and try to hold people. Like, what does community policing mean to you guys in helping you with public safety?
For community policing is police officers engaging in the community. Because when something happens, the community is adversely going to be affected, especially when it's in something of nefarious nature. We would hope that every time we meet communities under pleasant terms, and now when we do community policing, it is on pleasant terms. The reality is that when you're meeting with a patrol officer showing up to your house or showing up to the stop, it's not necessarily a pleasant term. There's a call there. Something happened, and he's coming to mitigate those circumstances. Community policing is when we're out there just having conversations. Hello, how are you doing?
Right.
Everything good? And in that sense, it builds a relationship where you know me, and if you have a problem, you'll be able to just reach out and say something to me. It's just keeping the community involved. Because the reality is we couldn't do our job as well as we do it and have our homicide rates at 65 to 70% closeout. We actually catch the perpetrators. It's because the community doesn't want this violence in those areas. And it's those small pockets of violence that cause a majority of the problem. Usually 5% of the people cause 85 to 90% of the violence in the community. And if we have a better relationship with the community, which we strive to do, we're out there, I make myself available to anyone in the community to have conversations. That's what's going to help us better. So community policing is outreach, conversation, dialogue. I will tell our officers that you are the community is you. If you see yourself as the community,
Right.
you're gonna engage yourself to make it better in a sense.
I like that. I like that, Director, too. You know, a lot of the residents are nervous about talking to the police, scared, for lack of better words, of talking to the police. But your office, you yourself, the chief, a lot of time has assured them that they can be left anonymous as long as, you know, all of the information is brought to them, that you won't put them out front when it comes to certain things, right? And I have to say myself that that has worked for me because I've had people come to me who have done crimes, and I know you know of this, or we won't say any names, but, you know, for a safe surrender.
Yes.
You know, so people have come to me as councilman. I've called you guys and say, look, this is what's going on, and you walked me through it. You didn't come with no sirens on. You didn't do any of that. You didn't even put, well, they had to put handcuffs on him before he goes into the, but going down to the car and getting into the car, there wasn't even any handcuffs. Going into the building, handcuffs. But, you know, I just want to salute you guys for handling that, you know, like gentlemen, respectfully, and you guys were able to do your job. And we got some bad guys off of the streets who wanted to turn themselves in, but were afraid that they would get beat up by the police or something would happen to them by the police. And I assured them with the reassurance from you guys that none of that is going to happen. And I can say, you know, clearly that none of that happened, and it was a safe surrender all the way around the board.
When we strive to have the safe surrender program at any of the houses of worship, we have several houses of worship clergy that are on board. And if they want to surrender themselves, we have warrants for certain people. The reality is we don't want to have a circumstance where we have police trying to make an arrest of somebody that's possibly violent. Right? Usually violent acts that occur is reactionary. So if we can prevent that by having a conversation with clergy that says this person wants to submit themselves in and turn themselves in for a violent crime that they're being investigated for, that would be a better position to put the police officers and the community. That's one less person that's injured, you know, or shot or something to that effect. So in those circumstances, it's better for the police department, it's better for the community, it's really better for the community relationships, that they can see that the police aren't out there trying to hurt anybody, but we do have a job to do.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody dies and you've killed them, we have to investigate that and bring those people to justice. And if we could bring it in a safer manner, that's better for us and the community itself.
Before I let you go, Director, because I know you have a lot of work to do in this city, some things that the Westwood residents have been asking me is about the clear zone ordinance. What does that look like? When will it be in effect? And just for the people out there who don't know what the clear zone ordinance is, what we passed about a month or so ago. And when I say we, my council colleagues, shout out to all my council colleagues and our great mayor, Rajay Baraka. The clear zone ordinance is that you can't stand in front of businesses like stores or any more. You can pass by, you can go in and out, but you can't stand there for an excess amount of time without the police removing you and even I think a warning first and then a fine later if it's continued. So can you explain that a little more? Or when it will be in effect?
It's already in effect now.
Gotcha.
In fact, Chief Miranda, as we discussed this, put out a memo to all of our precincts commanders, community service officers to advise them that if there's people hanging around groups in front of an establishment, usually us walking over and saying hello, we're not really trying to just give people tickets or things of that nature.
They're not.
But we also want to make sure the storefront's open for business. And they walk to, hey, how are you guys doing? Everything good here? You're gathering around, let's break it up. And then usually they just leave. So it's in effect right now throughout the entire city. If police officers drive and see groups, they will walk up and say hello to you. They're not here to cause any stress to you, but they're here as youth talk to you. And sometimes they do want to talk to you, and that's another way for us to outreach and make relationships. So we're using this as an opportunity to talk to the community, especially the youth, because it's majority youth between the ages of 15 and 25 that are sitting in front of these stores. So that's a time for them to outreach and have our law officers go out there and talk to people and get sources of information to say, hey, what's going on? You guys need anything? You have somewhere to go. There is places to go. Right now, all the recreation centers are open till 11 p.m., which we provide security for those facilities. So that instead of closing at 8, we're closing at 11. The pools are open. So there's things to do instead of just hanging out in front of a store. So we will be enforcing that, and it's really just a way to communicate. We're using that as a way to communicate with the community in a sense and enforce the laws that have been put in place by the council.
Man, that's great. Thank you, Director.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, man, for coming out.
Absolutely.
Oh, man, don't leave without Mike. But I just want to thank the Director for coming out. Please be safe out there. I just want to say, every time that I call, you pick up my call. I believe you're doing an amazing job. Amazing job. I'm not just saying that. You really come out. But thank you and welcome to Out Loud. Our Police Director, Newark, New Jersey's Police Director, Mr. Frisch Frage. Great guy, man. Thank you for coming out. All right.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for the hard work today. It's really impressive to put you out here. The work that you do. Good luck on your future endeavors. School's out. You're still here working here. That says something in itself. Right. Enjoy the summer.
Thank you, man. Make some noise once again for Director Frage. That was Director Frage, and now we're going to go into one of my favorite segments, the heat check.
What's going on, Councilman? So right now, the heat check we got going on is the former president just named our city, North, one of the safest cities.
What president? Bush? Nixon? What?
Obama.
Wait a minute. Not good old 4-4.
4-4.
Okay. So what did he do?
He named our city one of the safest cities in the country.
Wow. And I think it was just saying that our crime has dropped, immensely than it has been in the past. And that's a testament to our administration, Mayor Rajay Baraka, Brick City Peace Collective, and the Office of Violence and Prevention and Trauma Recovery, and all our great men and women on the police force, that are doing the work out there, and our nonprofits and our activists that are doing the work, and our residents who stick their neck out. So we thank them, man, and thank you for that heat check. What's going on, Miss Edna?
What's going on is the recent Master of Light program that we just celebrated at the Newark Museum, and that was very, very, very hot. It is not only educational, it's liberating, and it shows us, and in certain ways, how we develop and go forward, and how you can be it ties in with the whole public safety issues, and how we can go from incarceration to liberation and being entrepreneurs. So it all ties in, and it's what we are doing here in the city of Newark.
I love the Master of Light. Master of Light is a movie that was amazing. We brought criminal justice people in, respect Represent Justice, Represent Justice. They came in last night and we brought in our returning citizens, you know, there as well. And when I talk about this is what we're doing in our community, is using art to engage community with our returning incarcerated citizens to see how to get them acclimated again back into society. And we're going to continue to do this in the West Ward. So thank you once again for that heat check. Master of Light is an incredible program. Thank you to Represent Justice. Thank you to the Returning Citizens Group. And on that note, hear me out. It is important to acknowledge the role that community members play in promoting public safety. While law enforcement is a critical component, community involvement and vigilance often help to prevent crime before it occurs. It can be challenging when there are cultural or social barriers. That makes people hesitate to speak. But it's important to create safe spaces where individuals feel comfortable with sharing information that could help prevent the crimes. It may also be helpful to involve community leaders and organizations in promoting public safety initiatives and building trust. Ultimately, public safety is a shared responsibility, and it requires collaboration and communication between law enforcement and community members. Absolutely. Community members' involvement and engagement are essential in promoting public safety and reducing crime rates. You see, law enforcement authorities may not always have the complete picture of what's happening in particular communities, especially if there's a lack of information coming from residents. Therefore, it's important to establish meaningful interactions between community members and the law enforcement. This way you can cultivate an environment of mutual trust and respect. And that's one way to facilitate it. See, by doing that, having community meetings where officers can come engage residents and answer their questions and hear their concerns, encouraging the establishment of neighborhoods through neighborhood watch programs. This is a way to promote community involvement by empowering residents to actively participate in protection of their communities. And more so, providing opportunities for community members to contribute to programs and initiatives that promote safety and prevent crime. That's the way that you can be beneficial. Inclusive. I just want to thank everybody here at Donald Payne Tech High School here in the West Ward. I want to thank our student director, Ubaidullah. I want to thank Belinda. I want to thank Sierra. I want to thank Philip. I want to thank Zion and Dylan. I want to thank Michelle. I want to thank all of the people who make this show work. My staff, our director, Tobias Trevelyan, also our producer, Miss Carolyn Patterson. I want to thank all of you guys. But more importantly, I want to thank you for tuning in to Channel 78, Newark TV. You can also catch Out Loud on YouTube. I am your host, and remember, this is Public Safety from Councilman Kelly. Out Loud.